Did you know that the billionaire who funded this Super Bowl ad hired Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer? Did you know this guy has an entire cyber command dedicated to stopping anti-Semitism? Did you know that the biggest donors to his organization are mentioned in the Epstein files? This is Robert Kraft. He's a billionaire, the owner of the New England Patriots, and here's the cyber command inside the New England Patriots Stadium. I'll talk in depth on that later, but first let's talk about Kraft's Epstein connection. In 2014, the 77-year-old Kraft was chauffeured to the Orchids of Asia day spa in a white Bentley. Police videotaped him engaging in a sex act and then handing over cash. Jack Goldberg is Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. Goldberg emailed Epstein after Kraft's arrest. See, Kraft got arrested. Should take local news away from us, because by 2019, Epstein was being investigated again. Yes, I'm trying to have him hire you, Epstein responded. If your buddy Kraft needs local palm rep, let me know, Epstein wrote to a Manhattan law firm. He did end up hiring Jack Goldberg, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, and the charges against him were dropped in September of 2020. Robert Kraft, billionaire, filmed by police engaging in sex acts and then handing over money. All charges dropped. Is anybody surprised? Let's talk about this Cyber Command Center. It's part of Robert Kraft's Blue Square Alliance, whose legal name is the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism Incorporated, a 501c nonprofit. According to ProPublica, in 2024, they generated $135 million in revenue. The largest donations in 24 came from the Indian Paintbrush Foundation, $37.5 million, Norman R. Rales Ruth Rales Foundation, $25 million, Adidas, $20 million, and Glenstone Foundation, $11.9 million. Stick with me. The Indian Paintbrush Foundation was founded by Stephen Rales, named after his film production company. The Glenstone Foundation was founded by Stephen's brother, Mitchell Rales. Stephen and Mitchell co-founded Danaher Corporation, and in 2021, they pumped $1.5 billion worth of shares of Danaher Corporation into the Indian Paintbrush Foundation. Norman and Ruth Rales are their parents. Adidas is unconnected. They gave $20 million after Kanye West's anti-Semitic remarks. So $74 million, more than half of the Blue Square Alliance's total revenue in 24 came from the Rales family. From Kate Justice, newly released House Oversight Committee documents reveal that billionaire philanthropist Mitchell Rales may have flown on Jeffrey Epstein's private aircraft on July 17, 2008, just 17 days after Epstein pled guilty to soliciting prostitution from a minor. Mitchell Rales also co-owns the Washington Commanders with Josh Harris. Josh Harris kept in contact with Epstein even after Epstein's 2008 conviction. Josh Harris had breakfast with Epstein in 2013 and then sent an email after saying, "Thank you for inviting me." He again contacted Epstein in 2016 saying he was happy to catch up at some point in the future.
The Commanders officially sold.
To approve the sale of the Commanders to Josh Harris. They did find that Dan Snyder did sexually harass Tiffany Johnston. He has to pay now $60 million back to the league.
Josh Harris donated $180,000 to Kraft's Blue Square Alliance in 24. To be clear, there is no direct evidence that links Kraft or the Rales to child trafficking. Kraft was charged for soliciting prostitution, and he hired Epstein's lawyer. Mitchell Rales is listed in the files, and he co-owns the Washington Commanders with Josh Harris, who is also in the files. I can't find any link between Stephen Rales and Epstein. Remember, meetings, emails, flights, even hiring Epstein's lawyer doesn't mean you committed crimes with Epstein. I'm not linking the Blue Square Association with Epstein's crime. That is not supported by the evidence. What I'm demonstrating to you is the interconnectedness of these billionaires and the vast amounts of money that they can deploy to further their own interests. The Super Bowl ad that Kraft ran this year cost $15 million. The one in 25 cost $8 million. This nonprofit spends almost all of its money as advertising and in producing these videos. And that counts as charitable disbursements. It gets worse. So the cornerstone product of this Blue Square Alliance is the monitoring of online activity on college campuses. That's what they do in that big cyber command center. They provide universities with data on anyone talking about your university online related to anti-Semitism, Judaism, and Israel. They provide data on the specific social media posts reaching the most people and the authors of posts with the most recent impact, including faculty. Remember, when ICE started abducting people, they first took pro-Palestine activists. On Wednesday, a senior ICE official testified in court that the Department of Homeland Security created a team to investigate student protesters based on a list of 5,000 people identified by the Canary Mission website. This Turkish student, Ozturk, was targeted and taken by ICE because of the Canary Mission. The Canary Mission is an anonymously run doxing website established in 2014 that publishes the personal information of students, professors, and organizations that it describes as anti-Israel or anti-Semitic, focusing primarily on people at North American universities. So I can't find what specific information the Blue Square Alliance shares with universities or how that information is used, but I see strong parallels between what they are doing and what organizations like the Canary Mission are doing. Which brings us to Heritage Foundation's Project Esther. Project Esther is a policy initiative released by the Heritage Foundation in October of 24. It claims to be a national strategy to combat anti-Semitism. Esther. But in practice, it redefines anti-Semitism in ways that blur the line between legitimate protests and hate speech while simultaneously ignoring and obscuring right-wing anti-Semitism. The plan frames pro-Palestinian advocacy and criticism of Israeli government policy as inherently anti-Semitic, designating them part of the so-called Hamas support network. Project Esther has led to detentions and deportations. It has led to academic crackdowns, faculties being fired. It's now led to thousands of student visas being revoked. Hundreds of millions of federal funding has been cut from universities. And campus activism is tracked and treated as extremism. Again, to be clear, I have found no evidence of direct ties between Heritage Foundation, Project Esther, Canary Mission, or the Blue Square Alliance. I'm pointing out the similarity in tactics used by these different organizations. To use a football analogy, Blue Square Alliance and Heritage Foundation, Canary Mission, they might not be on the same team, but they're playing the same game. They're in the same stadium, on the same field. They're all working towards similar goals. And over half of Blue Square Alliance's funding in 2024 came from people that were directly connected to Epstein. Again, to be clear, I have found no evidence that Robert Kraft's organization is working at the behest of Israel or Israeli intelligence. But when you look at what his organization is doing, where his funding comes from, his Epstein ties, and now this concerted effort to paint Epstein as a Russian asset while blatantly ignoring all of his ties to the Israeli government, that's just all very interesting. 2 minutes after I published my Substack article, the bot attacks started coming. It'll happen on this post too. It happens on every post I make that mentions Israel. So I need you to please like, comment, and share, because every post where I talk about Israel gets suppressed hard by the algorithm. It's so blatant. I mean, that's why they bought TikTok. It's a reminder to you too that your voice matters. They wouldn't buy out TikTok if people's public opinion weren't changed by what they were viewing on social media.